Hi, my name is Paul Sargent, and welcome once again to AP Euro Bit by Bit, where I try and take European history, modern European history, and break it into small pieces to help you better understand it. And if you're taking AP European history, hopefully it'll help you prepare more for the AP exam. So today's topic is, what was secular humanism? Now, secular humanism may seem like a pretty involved term, but if we start by breaking it down and understanding what it means, then we can take a look at what it was. So let's take a look at what it means. Humanism, as you know, was the revival of interest in the classical ideals of ancient Greece and Rome that began in Italy around 1350 and spread throughout Europe over the next 200 years. Secular humanism was the belief that education should focus on non-religious, that is, secular, subjects. Secular humanists promoted a well-rounded education that included what we refer to today as the humanities. That's subjects like grammar, rhetoric, poetry, ethics, and history. So who were these secular humanists and what did they actually believe? Well, we're going to take a look at 3 examples of secular humanism so that you'll better understand exactly what they were trying to do. Let's take a look. Okay, first there's Leonardo Bruni. In the early 15th century, he focused on an intense study of the Greek language. He translated classical Greek works of Sophocles, Euripides, and Thucydides for his contemporary audiences. All these authors, whose works we still study and revere in the West today, were totally ignored by medieval scholars as irrelevant. And the reason they were irrelevant was because they didn't address the central themes of Christianity. These writers were pagan. They lived before Christ was born. They couldn't have been Christians. And so it wasn't worth their time to even study them. But the ideas, the writings, they were good. And Bruni brought these works and their cultural ideals to his world. And if you look at his tombstone here, you can see that it kind of is all summed up right in the inscription, which translated says, "Since Leonardo departed this life, history is mourning, eloquence is mute, and it is said the muses, both Greek and Latin, could not restrain their tears." Secondly, there's Leon Battista Alberti, an architect who lived in Florence in the 15th century. He helped to revive the centrality of the individual in the European worldview and believed that mankind's inherent value and goodness was the big thing. And he promoted the idea of human potential. Now, this helped to create the idea of what was referred to as l'uomo universale, or the universal man. This was like a person who was capable in many areas of life. They would be good at music, they would understand philosophy, they would know history, they would be accomplished in art, and so forth. Like, that's not setting the bar a little high for the rest of us. And finally, there's Niccolo Machiavelli. He'll appear throughout this series in a political context, but let's focus on Machiavelli as a secular humanist today. He experienced a time of great turmoil in Italy, especially after the French invasion. Now, expanding on the ideas of Thucydides, who's considered to be the first historian, he helped to develop the idea of political realism. He wrote about the need for strong leadership that focused on political realities, not moral questions of right and wrong. He stressed the need for a ruler to place the good of the state above the desires of his subjects, regardless of the sacrifices. It is far better, he said, to be feared than to be loved. Now, understand that all 3 of these men and the other secular humanists pushed the idea that education was the key to a better society. And they advocated for a move away from religious education, which focused on the Bible and Christian writers, and looked for inspiration to ancient writers with different ideas that were not informed by Catholic ideology. These ideas then challenged the worldview of the Renaissance era. This movement would become very popular and spread very rapidly. Why? Well, I'll tackle that in future videos. So that's pretty much secular humanism. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about European history, go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified whenever I send up new videos. As always, this is AP Euro Bit by Bit. My name's Paul Sargent, and thanks for watching. See you next time.